Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Shotsuki monthly memorial service for those who have passed away on the month of May. And this is almost the end of my 11th year in the United States and 11th year as BCA minister. And when I came to the United States, I was the youngest minister for a few years. So every time I go to guest speaking to some temples, I could say, I am the youngest minister of BCA. But now I'm the middle age and there are a lot of ministers who are younger than me. And I don't know if it was after Aoi, my daughter's birth, or after I turned 30 years old, but I started to be easily moved to tears. And if you go to see the movies with me, I'm sure you can see me crying. I can even cry to the theme of Avengers, And about a week ago, I was watching Japanese TV show, and it was talking about the Pixar movie, Toy Story 3. And I really like this movie. Have you ever watched Toy Story 3? I cannot watch it often because every time I watch it, I'm gonna cry anyway. So, and at the end, one main character, Andy, he gives his treasure of toys away to Bonnie with his wish that Bonnie takes good care of the toys. And this last scene always makes me cry. Woody, buddy of Andy, sitting on the porch saying like, so long, partner, that is, best scene of the Toy Story 3. And, the toys were Andy's treasures, and especially Woody. He was trying, Andy was trying to keep Woody, but finally he gave up and gave Woody to Bonnie. And Andy and his toys are physically separated, right? But the memories which they spend together will never disappear. And the wish of the person continue to connect, just like Onenju, And I'm sure that one day Bonnie grow up and hand her toys down to someone with the wish that please take good care of these toys. And this Oregon Buddhist temple, the pews you are sitting today, that is something our predecessors left for us with the wish. Please take good care of them. Just like Andy gave his toy to Bonnie. Also, the Nembutsuge teaching we are listening right now, it is handed down generation to generation with the hope or wish that please keep this teaching alive. And, Nembutsuge teaching and our founder Shinran Shonin is just like my treasure of life. So please keep in your mind, we are always living in the wish of somebody and surrounded by the treasure of someone. If someone treats your treasure badly, you don't feel good, right? So please think that everything around you could be somebody's treasure. It doesn't have to be the materials such as toys or cars or houses, but it could be the person. Everybody could be somebody's treasure. So please take good care of anything and anyone around you. And please remember that you are always in the wish of someone. Okay, so let's conclude Dharma School talk with Gassho and Nembutsu. So please join me in Gassho. Please put your palms together. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Actually, I was planning to show the last scene of Toy Story 3, but that makes me cry and I cannot give Dharma talks, so I stopped. But now, I like to share the words of our 8th head priest, Rennyo Shonin, from 15th century. But before I share the words of Rennyo Shonin, let me briefly talk about the letters of Rennyo Shonin. Rennyo Shonin started the propagation through letters around 1461. And we know the existence of over 200 letters of Rennyo Shonin, but I am sure that there might be more letters waiting for its discovery. And when Rennyo Shonin passed away, his son and the ninth head priest of our tradition, Jitsunyo, took the lead to compile the letters of Rennyo Shonin. So the 80 letters, which are considered important for our teaching, are collected as Gobunsho, letters of Rennyo. And we hear some of them during the morning services at Nishi Hongwanji. Then, what happened to other letters? And the other letters were not selected in Gobunsho. It does not mean that we are not allowed to read it, but they are actually in one book, and we are able to read them. And today's word I would like to share is from one of the letters of Rennyo Shonin, which is not included in Gobunsho, collection of the letters of Rennyo. And Rennyo Shonin had a daughter named Kengyoku. And she was born in 1448 and passed away in 1472. And Rennyo Shonin was born in 1414. So Kengyoku was the baby of Rennyo Shonin when he was around 34 or 35 years old. And Kengyoku actually passed away before Rennyo Shonin, and she was only 24 or 25. And Rennyo Shonin was 58 and 59. So now I'd like to share the words you see on the screen. So please join me in Gassho. Please put your palms together.所詮早々の庭において虚しき煙となりし、白骨の中より三本の小蓮華出生す。その花の中より一寸ばかりの金仏光を放ちていずと見る。さて幾ほどもなくして蝶となりてうせにけると見るほどに、やがて夢覚め終わりる。これすなわち剣玉といえる名の真如発祥の玉を表せる姿なり。蝶となりてうせぬと見ゆるは、その魂蝶となりて、発祥の空、極楽世界、涅槃の都へ参りぬると言える心なりと、不信もなくしられたりと。In his dream, he could see the funeral grounds, where her body had vanished in the smoke of cremation. And there, arising out of the white ashes and bones that remained, he could observe 3 blue lotus blossoms. In the blossoms, he could see a golden Buddha, only 1 inch tall, which sent forth rays of light. As he watched, it instantly turned into a butterfly and disappeared from sight. He thereupon awoke from his dream. This vision was a manifestation of the gem of suchness and Dharma nature found in her name, Kengyoku. This indicates without question that her spirit has been transformed into a butterfly, which has gone into the sky of Dharma nature, to the world of ultimate bliss, the city of Nirvana. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu. So this is a translation of the letters we can find in a Bearer of Light, the Life of and Thought of Rennyo. This is a translation of a book of the late Reverend Jitsen Kakehashi, and translated by Reverend Dr. David Matsumoto. And if you like to know about Rennyo Shonin, this is really a good book, and I'm sure we have a copy in our library. So, after the service, if you want to borrow the book, I'm sure you can borrow it. Since I talked about it today, maybe you have to put your name on the waiting list. We may only have 1 copy. So the part of the letter I quoted now is talking about someone's dream. But it is said his dream refers to Rennyo Shonin's dream. And in the dream, Rennyo Shonin saw blue lotus flowers, golden Buddha, and butterfly after the cremation of his daughter Kengyoku. And what is interesting that Rennyo Shonin uses the term or word tamashi, which is often translated as spirit or soul. And it was common in Japan to believe that everyone has tamashi. And, the soul wandered this world if the deceased did not receive proper deathbed rituals or something. But as you may know, Buddhism denies the entity of soul or spirit, which is considered the concrete self, which exists in ourselves without changing and without, affected by anything. So everything changes and everything is interdependent. This is the core teaching of Buddhism. So there are nothing which does not change or exist by itself. And this is what we are taught through Buddhism teaching. So this word, tamashi, is not often explained that Rennyo Shonin used the socially common term to explain something to the ordinary people. There was a Chinese monk named Master Tanlan in 5th and 6th century. He wrote a commentary on treatise on the Pure Land written by Bodhisattva Vasubandhu. And in his commentary, he discussed what goes to the Pure Land. What goes to the Pure Land? And this is a little bit a long quote, but he said, question, in what sense do you speak of birth in the Pure Land? Answer, for the provisionally called person in this world who practices the 5 gates of mindfulness, the preceding moment of thought is the cause of the succeeding moment of thought. Just as the provisionally called person of this defiled world and the provisionally called person of the Pure Land cannot be definitely called the same or definitely called different. Actually, this is typo, same or definitely called different. The same is true of the preceding moment of thought and the succeeding moment of thought. The reason is that if they were one and the same, then there would be no causality. If they were different, there would be no continuity. So, Master Tanlan uses the term provisionally called person. And without the word, we cannot communicate, right? Without word, we cannot communicate. Even if we were able to communicate through telepathy or something, I believe we need the word to describe something, right? So we provisionally call something with the word. In this case, provisionally called person is going to the Pure Land, right? But it is not as we think as this person attained birth in the Pure Land. But we have no other way but to express in this way, this person attained birth into the Pure Land. Because we need the word to describe something. So the word tamashi in Rennyo Shonin's letter is the same thing. Rennyo Shonin is not saying that there is a soul or spirit in our body which does not change and does not affected by anything, but provisionally called spirit became butterfly and gone into the Dharma nature, the world of utmost bliss, the city of Nirvana. And this is a dream of Rennyo Shonin, so that it is not talking about a person attain birth into the Pure, how a person attain birth into the Pure Land. But this dream beautifully illustrates person's attainment of birth into the Pure Land. And this is what I believe. I believe exactly what goes to the Pure Land, or what exactly tamashi or spirit refers to, is not so important in our tradition. What is important is that we all attain birth into the Pure Land of Amida Buddha through the power of the name Namo Amida Butsu when we pass away. So this is the most important thing. So Honen Shonin, Shinran Shonin, and his successors all recommended us to entrust ourselves to the working of the name Namo Amida Butsu, which grasps us and never abandons us. So I am among ordinary beings that I don't know what is going to happen when I die. But I just entrust myself to this teaching of Nembutsu, and the working of the name Namo Amida Butsu. And Amida Buddha calls us in Nembutsu, don't worry, right? Don't worry. There is no worry. Don't need to worry. So I just don't worry about it, and I just entrust myself to the working of the name Namo Amida Butsu. And, actually it would be nice if I could see my mother in the Pure Land, but it is not so important to me either, because she is always here with me as Buddha, guiding me to walk this path of Nembutsu. Our preceding scholars of the tradition said something like this. 凡情を謝せず、凡情に応ぜず. And bonjo means emotions or feelings of ordinary beings. And shasezu means not preventing someone from doing something. So if someone is really looking forward to meet their loved ones in the Pure Land with this form, our teaching does not prevent the person from thinking in that way. And I'm sure that I have talked about one lady's passing before, but when I officiated or conducted the pillow service for her, she said something like, Sensei, I can finally meet my husband for the first time in a long time. So I replied as, I am sure that he is waiting for you. Maybe from the ultimate understanding of Buddhism, I could say, no, he's not in the Pure Land with this form, so, he's not waiting. But that's not the teaching of the Pure Land is about, right? Bonjo shasezu means not denying somebody's feeling, So it's okay to think in that way, right? But if somebody is thinking like, when I attain birth in the Pure Land, I'm going to drink all day, surrounded by, favorite people, right? That's not, Pure Land is about, The Pure Land is a realm of enlightenment, Dharma nature, city of Nirvana, right? So in this case, the teaching is not responding to the emotion of feeling of ordinary beings. So that is what bonjo ni ozezu means, not responding to the feeling of ordinary beings. So if somebody thinks that, we can drink in the Pure Land all day long, then, that's not correct understanding of the Pure Land. But it's okay to think that we are able to meet our loved ones in the Pure Land again and looking forward to it. That's, natural way of thinking of ordinary people. So, the teaching is not denying that kind of feeling. So, some people say that the Pure Land cannot be something like taught in the sutras, like brilliant gold and so many beautiful things. Well, there cannot be the world after death. But how can we know, using our limited wisdom? And I believe those who encountered the teaching realize the limitation of our own wisdom and begin to rely on the wisdom of Buddha. So, the Pure Land could be the place like what is taught in the sutras. It could be the world of Dharma nature, which beyond our imagination. But again, figuring out which is true or not, that's not so important. And it's impossible using our limited wisdom to judge which is correct. So, important thing is how we receive shinjin, entrusting heart, and be settled regarding our birth into the Pure Land during our lifetime, and how we live this life with Nembutsu. That is most important thing. So, as I often mention, I believe the person of shinjin is the person of self-reflection, relying on Buddha's wisdom, and the person responding with gratitude for Amida's great benevolence by action Namo Amida Butsu. So once we begin to self-reflect our self-centered nature, we begin to correct our way of living. So this is the important thing in our lives. So today is Mother's Day, and I was thinking about something related to my mother, but ended up talking about Rennyo Shogin's letter and the Pure Land. But my mother was a person of Nembutsu, and I still remember she was practicing her handwritings with pens. You know, I'm not good at handwritings because I'm lefty. That's my excuse. But, I didn't practice handwritings much, so I'm not good at handwritings. But she was always practicing her handwritings. Usually, when we practice our handwritings, we practice our names, isn't it? How to write our names. But she was practicing to write how to write Namo Amida Butsu. So she was always writing Namo Amida Butsu. So this teaching of Nembutsu, teaching of the Pure Land, was important teaching for my mother. And by me talking about it, I hope I was able to respond to the depth of gratitude I owe to my mother. So now I would like to conclude my talk with the reading of Hakkotsu no Sho on White Ashes, written by Rennyo Shonin. So please join me in Gassho. Please put your palms together.それ人間の性なる相をつらつら感ずるに、およそ儚きものはこの世の始終中、幻のごとくなるいちごなり。されば、未だ漫才の銀人の受けたりということを聞かず、一生過ぎやすし、今に至って誰か100年の業態を保つべきや、我や先人や先、今日とも知らず、遅れ先立つ人は元の雫末の梅雨よりも茂しと言えり、されば明日には幸願なって、夕べには白骨となれるになり、すでに無常の風来たり濡れば、すなわち二つの眼たち待ちに閉じ、一つの息長く耐え濡れば、幸願虚しく返じて、通りの装いを失いぬる時は、六神眷属集まって、嘆き悲しめども、さらにその会あるべからず、さてしもあるべきことならねばとて、野外に送って、夜の煙となし果てぬれば、ただ白骨の溝のこれり、哀れというもなかなか愚かなり。されば人間の儚きことは、老少不浄の境なれば、誰の人も早く五生の一大事を心にかけて、阿弥陀仏と深く頼み参らせて、念仏もすべきものなり。 Anakashiko, Anakashiko. On white ashes. In silently contemplating the transient nature of human existence, nothing is more fragile and fleeting in this world than the life of man. Thus, we have not heard of human life lasting for 1,000 years. Life passes swiftly, and few among men can maintain their form for even 100 years. Whether I go before others, or others go before me, whether it be today or tomorrow, who is to know? Those who depart before us are as countless as the drops of dew. Though in the morning we may have radiant health, in the evening we may return to white ashes. When the winds of impermanence blow, our eyes are closed forever, and when the last breath leaves us, our face loses its color. Though loved ones gather and lament, everything is to no avail. The body is dancing into an open field and vanishes from this world with the smoke of cremation, leaving only the white ashes. Nothing is more real than these truths of life. The fragile nature of human existence underlies both the young and the old. Therefore, we must, one and all, turn to the teachings of the Buddha and awaken to the essence of life. By so understanding the meaning of death, we come to appreciate the meaning of this life, which is to be treasured because it is unrepeatable. By virtue of true compassion, let us realize the unexcelled value of this existence, and let us live together with gratitude in our hearts. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda.